Ready?
Yep. Oof. Dead battery?
Must have a clutch interlock.
Dead battery.
Ah!
All right, let's drag this thing in. We'll mess with it in the
I want
shop.
to hear it run. Ooh.
Overall, first impressions, a little rougher than I expected, but I think we can make it great. Steve?
Yes.
I have somewhat of a hypocritical admission to make.
This is going to be like your confessional, isn't it?
It is.
And I'm going to have to absorb all of it. I'm ready for you.
You know how I'm super disparaging of people who come up with stupid names for their cars just because they think every car needs a name?
Yeah, I know. We did a whole Roadkill extra about that topic.
That's right,
yes.
we did. I admit I saw the ad,
right.
wanted to get the vehicle, and named it before I'd ever laid eyes on it.
What did you name it?
It is the El Cochino. El Cochino.
No entiendo por qué no habla español.
The pig.
The pig?
The pig.
El cochino?
It's a big, fat pig.
You have been known to buy cars just based on coming up with a name.
Well, no, a concept anyway.
Yeah. Okay. El cochino it is.
We have to make this garbage run like a pig. I would kind of like to see if we can get the 454 to fire or at least troubleshoot it.
That would be a good start, yeah.
There we go.
Where's the safety catch?
Oh, the first thing I'm gonna do is lube the hinges of this thing when we were outside. They were gnarly.
You know, it looks really good.
I think somebody freshly built this motor and threw it in there based on how new everything is.
Yeah.
And then they tried to break in the cam and it went flat and they gave up. So I don't want to just pull it. I want to troubleshoot a little bit.
Yeah, there's a lot of extra stuff in here that I don't approve of. Like all these relays and extra wiring. And
that's a little garish.
And then look at the heater hoses. They're routed diagonally across there. It makes no sense.
I know. I wouldn't put them over that strut rod like that.
Gotta go around. They're not even connected to anything.
I thought they were connected to the heater core.
Look at that.
Wow.
That is unnecessary. That'll have to go.
The seller said this thing has a bad cam, and we've tried to start it, and definitely something is funky with it. But Steve noticed that there's no fuel in the fuel filter. So he's got the
apparatus, which will also assure there'll be no fuel in the filter because they usually do not lift.
It said that it lifts right on the package.
I don't believe the package.
I don't either.
Do you?
No.
What I have is an electric fuel pump that's got alligator clips that are going to get power from the battery, suck fuel out of the jerry can right down on the ground, and supply the carburetor. Although it probably won't lift, so none of the fuel will actually exit the jerry can and make its way to the carburetor. At least that's what I suspect, so.
What lift means is that it's a type of pump that can actually drag fuel uphill, overcome gravity, and pretty much none of these things do that anymore.
Is this positivo right here?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And this one is negatory?
Yep. Let's see. Oh, it did it!
Whoa!
Wow, we gotta give Edelbrock credit. It said lift pump, and it is. And that is now spraying fuel from the carburetor, I believe. Yes, it is. Do the honors, Steve.
That is victory, okay.
Yeah. Give it the Dulcich pump job. Wow. Whoa. That was good.
It fired right up.
It did. Doesn't run good.
Again.
Let's not get it too hot. I think we definitely need to pull the valve covers. It's making a big clack. It's running on 7.
It is?
Yeah.
Sounded like it was running great to me.
Even with all that backfiring and clacking and rough running?
We've got to crawl underneath and cut the wires to whatever's making that horrific fuel pump noise.
Yeah, that's annoying. Let's pull the valve covers.
Okay.
We fired it up. You saw the big fireball. I think it was running on 7. It was definitely making a clacking noise. So what we're gonna do is pull the valve covers off and see if it actually has a flat cam, which was the seller's diagnosis. What we're gonna look for is if one of the rocker arms is super loose. That would mean that the lifter is wearing out and has caused a bunch of slack in the valve train. Fine?
Yeah, the valves need to be adjusted.
Okay, other side. There we go. What we just discovered is a whole bunch of lash on one of the exhaust rockers. And in fact, it's marked with an X, meaning somebody else has already been here and discovered that and labeled it. And our determination then is that it does have what's called a flat cam, and we're probably gonna have to pull the whole engine out and take it apart, because generally a flat cam puts metal everywhere in the engine. Oh man, this thing is ridiculous. Right, this is a high-performance passenger car engine, and I checked the block casting number, and it is indeed a 454. The other thing that I noted is that these are the 049 casting number cylinder heads. That makes them some of the best large oval ports that you can get. And even though Steve's gonna complain that they're super heavy, we're probably just gonna reuse them, although I don't know what's going on right here. Man, this guy just glopped RTV everywhere. We need an engine stand now. Whoa, that was barely installed. Look at that. Which lifter is it? Oh, I can see it right there. We just found the dead lifter. You can see the worn out cam, and the lifter is mushroomed at the bottom, and so you can't get it out. When I was at the machine shop, what we would do is disassemble the whole motor, flip it upside down, and pound the thing through.
Yeah, or you can just take the cam out and push it out the bottom.
That would be way smarter. Steve always gets mad when you do this. He insists that doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And it does, every time.
I did it. Ah!
Whoa!
I panicked when I got water all over my foot.
Good catch, Steve.
I know.
Those heads weigh like 70 pounds each.
90.
Maybe more. Yep, there we go. I've got the front.
What's holding it?
Just glue.
No, really?
Yes. Oh, the guy left nothing on the table when it came to RTVing the pan.
Wow, that's a lot of glucose on there.
He did not mess around. Did it come right off? There we go. Here comes the camshaft.
Got that camshaft out?
Of course. What do you think this is, Steve? You gonna mansplain me camshaft removal at this point in our relationship? Come on. Now that it's out, I can give you a complete and comprehensive understanding of the failure point. This is a good lifter. This is a failed lifter. Look at it. You can see that it's completely cupped, not flat at all, and completely wiped. You can also see that that much metal has been ground off of it, and that metal has gone through the engine. That's why we have to keep taking it apart and have a look at all the bearings to make sure they're okay. I can see a little bit of glitter in the oil pan. Here's my mess right here. Somebody absolutely wired this thing like a disaster, and they were completely in love with this plastic covering that I can't stand. They used red wires as ground here and here. I'm not gonna completely rewire this thing, but I should be able to make less of a mess out of it. Once I'm done with that, I'll roll it outside and do the standard Freiburger pressure wash so that our 454 looks spectacular when we get it back in. Okay, this you have to see. So down here, he's got a ground wire on the frame, which is always good to ground things to the frame, but then you follow it up and you find out that this same wire is grounded here to this bolt. And then this bolt has a ground over to this bolt, which has a ground that goes back into this wire, which goes over here to the ground above the ballast resistor. This wire does nothing but ground itself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. That's all it does. That's amazing.
I love when Freiburger finds stuff like that because he just cracks himself up.
That's all this wire does.
He's not easily amused either.
Oh, it's so funny.
What I'm doing right now is preparing for the installation of the piston and rod assemblies. I'm going to install the rings, and then I'm going to put the bearings on. I'm going to dunk the whole head of the piston in a coffee can full of oil. The reason is it's a pressed pin, and they've been pressed before we cleaned everything up, and there's no lubrication left between the piston and the pin whatsoever. So that's totally dry, and it's really, really hard to try to get lube in there. And then I will install the pistons, and the oil will drag down with the piston. But I can assure you there will be an oily mess.
All right. The fan is hitting the shroud, which is making a weird noise.
It's still pretty retarded.
Yeah, it is. That's why we need timing light on it.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I got it perfect.
Did it stop advancing at that RPM?
It stopped advancing before that RPM.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's pretty quick.
I gotta get on the earplugs. Man, we got rid of the old air cleaner that was like ballast and ugly. There we go.
It does look really good.
I almost don't want to do it, but ready to put the hood on?
Okay.
Walking backwards in sandals is always a trick.
Yeah, you're good at it, though.
It is. There we go.
Oh, look at that alignment.
Perfect. Now we can do the rear suspension.
David had to go home sick, so I'm here by myself. I think I'm gonna keep on going and get this whole rear suspension done while David's recuperating. So I'm just gonna tap this in position until I get the holes to line up. I'm using a soft copper mallet so I don't damage anything. That went in somewhere between lickety-split and a jiffy. I'm gonna move over to the other side, get the lower in there, and I'll probably get that one done in a jiffy too. Okay. Oh, all right, I'm trying to take the upper control arm out. Some of the bolts are a little hard to get to and pretty stiff, but I'm just about there, I think. Boom! Wow, that is a really flimsy little piece. Here's the setup I'm gonna use to remove the bushing. Basically, it's a jack screw. Then I've got this extremely enormous socket, which is gonna act as the receiver to grab the bushing as it's coming out, give it a place to go. On the other side, I'll have a couple of washers, a socket, and a nut. And then when I tighten it all up with the impact, it'll just push the bushing right into this giant socket and take it right out of the rear end housing, just like that. Well, what happened is I ran out of socket depth. I'm 7/8 of the way out. I'm gonna need a deeper receiver to get finished. I've got the old bushing out, and now it's time to install the new one. I'm going to use the same kind of arrangement, the jack screw. The receiver is going to be on the other side of it this time, and I'm going to use the socket to back it up to receive it as it goes through the hole in the rear end housing. It's going to be just about the same thing as before. I'm going to get it in right now. There, it's in. Got the trailing arms all done on the driver's side. I've got one left on the passenger side, and then we're gonna move on to the shocks and sway bar. I was really excited about surprising David by getting the whole rear suspension done, but the thing is, he's still sick. So what I'm gonna do is take this thing out for a drive and see if we still have that wheel hop problem. So far, so good. Seems to be running all right. If you make it past the first 50 feet, you're usually in pretty good shape. All right, seems pretty good so far. Well, I might as well get right down to brass tacks and see what happens when I punch it. I'll just roll into it. Oh, no! That's wheel hop. Jeez. It's still wheel hopping as ever. Acceleration's pretty good in second gear, but when you get those tires spinning, you can just forget about it. Man, axle tramps like nobody's business. Yeah, I would have loved to have surprised David by having that all fixed and solved, but it's gonna need more work. Try it once more for luck. I don't want to make it do that too much. It's gonna break something. Back to the shop she goes. Oh, well, maybe when David feels better, we can come back and put those shocks in. I think it's gonna need some sort of traction device to fix it, actually. We'll see what David has to say. Okay, that was a little disappointing. It still has the wheel hop. I'm not sure it's quite as severe as it used to be, but it's definitely still there. I'm just gonna wait till David feels better, and then we'll just have another shot at it. Eventually, we're gonna figure this out, and we're gonna get rid of that wheel hop completely.